guys ready to learn how to make the world's softest blanket? Today I'm going to teach you how to make a self-binding Minky blanket with a gauze top. So each kit includes a big piece of gauze and a big piece of Minky, and I will open this up. So this is the name brand Shannon Minky, the softest stuff in the entire world.
Show you kind of the size of it.
It's huge. Like, this is a big piece. The finished size is not going to be this big, but this is what comes in the kit at least. So you're going to come with these 2 pieces of fabric. So this Minky comes pre-cut, which is a huge deal because Minky is a pain to work with. It sheds everywhere, but it's worth it in the end. But I do want to show you for the first step in order to make this blanket, we have trimmed all of the corners of this at a 45-degree angle. And this is going to create a mitered corner to make it self-binding. So the first step to make this quilt is we're going to take each corner. So remember I said it was cut at a 45, and we're going to take the right side, so the fluffy side, we're going to fold it in on each other, and so that way these corners right here.
We're trying to tape, but these 2 little doggies won't stop, so you might hear a little puppy playhouse in the background. Okay,
Oh, okay. I was just going to share the one notion you want to make sure to have are some long, big-headed pins. So these are like the clover flower pins. We have these in our shop, but I also got these. These are from Riley Blake. Look how cute that packaging is. But you see how big these, like, the heads are that you can see and pull out? You'll just want to make sure to have some of these. So we're just going to do our best to take these corners right here on both sides and line these up. You can kind of move the fur around if you need to, but we're just going to pin this. And then I actually find it easier to go down one right here. It just kind of holds things in place. Those dogs are going crazy. And then we're just going to go and we're going to do a few pins. We're going to pin this whole side right here. I love these pins because they're nice and thick and long. Keep grabbing these pins. Okay, there we go. So now we're going to take this over to the sewing machine, and we're just going to top stitch right here, just along this side right here, to close it up. A little bit difficult to work with. There's definitely a learning curve, which is why we wanted to start with a project like this, because this is definitely one of the most simple, if not the simplest, Minky project. There is a good amount of weight to this, so it will kind of like fall, it'll kind of fall over the edge, and it is very slippery. So I do want to put that little disclaimer out there. So from the inside going out, I have my seam set at a little bit larger than a 1/4 inch. It's probably closer to 1/3 of an inch. And then you're just going to sew very slowly, take your time. And then whenever you get to the end, just want to back stitch. So I have sewn all 4 corners. That's kind of what it will look like when it's sewn. And so now what you're going to do is you're going to put this on your floor or on a big table, and we're going to turn all of these corners out. And so each corner will have a nice miter to it. I give this about 10 seconds before the puppies crawl all over it, but I want to show you the magic of this quilt and really how simple it is. So we just, oh, that was less than 10 seconds. Okay. All right, let me go take the, I've laid all the Minky out on the floor. I've turned the corners, and so it kind of, do you guys see all those mitered corners? It kind of creates like a picture frame. So you should have about a 1/4 inch, or not 1/4 inch, you should have about 4 inches each side. But now is where the magic happens. So you're just gonna take your piece of gauze, and you're gonna open it up, and you guys, this gauze is so soft. We're just gonna open it up, and it should now be the same size as the Minky square. And what you do is you just tuck this into the corners. So we're just gonna go through and tuck all of the gauze inside of this Minky. And you guys, that's pretty much like the majority of, well, not the majority, but this is like the blanket right there. Because what we're gonna do is after we have all the gauze tucked in, we're gonna go through and pin this Minky super well, and then you just top stitch it and that's it. Like, cannot get any easier than this. Before you start pinning, you just want to make sure that all of these borders like are straight as possible and are kind of even with each other. So it should be about 4 inches. And just kind of do your best. I mean, you can see right here, we've tucked the gauze pretty much into the entire thing. We're just going to straighten this as much as we can. And it helps to just maybe like, after you're done tucking it in, stand up and look at it from a different angle, just make sure it looks okay. And so the next thing we're gonna do is we are going to pin, and we are going to pin very, very well. Minky is a very slippery fabric. And so it requires a lot of pinning to make sure that it doesn't move or bunch up whenever you are sewing. So whenever you go to pin, you want to make sure that you are pinning through all 3 layers. So you want to make sure that you're getting the top section of Minky, the gauze, and the bottom. And Minky, you have to pin super well. So what I do is I start off going maybe like pinning every 3 inches, and then I go through and I pin in the middle of all of that. So you guys, you're literally gonna have about a pin every inch and a half. That's how you know that you're pinning it right. It is the more, the better. Finished pinning all 4 sides. Whenever you're done pinning, I think it's helpful to stand up, look at it again, just kind of from like bird's eye view. Look at the border, see if any of it has gone a little wonky, if one side is maybe a little bit too chunky and needs to be like repinned. So you just kind of, now is the time to like repin anything, make sure that everything is nice and straight. You guys, this is a homemade, handmade product, so it's not gonna be perfect. So give yourself a little bit of grace. This is a homemade thing and it's going to be perfect. Carried over the blanket over to the sewing machine. And now what we're gonna do in order to top stitch it, we are going to change your machine. We're gonna do a zigzag stitch. Then I have my width set to 5 and the length set to 5.5. So that's just gonna give us a little bit of a wider, taller stitch. So this is definitely probably the hardest part of making this blanket, and is the most important time to like take your time and just go slow and be patient. So we're going to so this is the raw edge right here of the Minky. And with this zigzag, we want to make sure that we are catching both the edge of this Minky and the gauze. So it's going to go kind of back and forth right between there. My mom is, do you want me to, what are you doing, Mom?
I was trying to stitch it. Wait, it's got to do a lock stitch. Hold on.
So it'll show you, maybe.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, do you see how it's just catching the edge of the Minky and then going back to the gauze? That's exactly what we're looking for. So we're just going to go very, very slow, and we're just going to make sure that we are catching all of those, like the Minky and the gauze, with each stitch. So I am just going super slow, making sure that it's catching both sides. And then right here, it's really easy to see where that edge is. But sometimes with this fabric, it kind of, the fur folds in. So it's hard to tell where it's, where the edge of it is at. And that is where it's the most important, just to kind of go maybe inch by inch. And then let me show you, I'm coming up to a corner. I'll show you what to do. So you're just gonna go straight up, right up to the corner. And then you're just going to rotate this and then just continue going down the other side. So right here, the fur is kind of covering that raw edge. So I just am carefully like lifting it up with my finger. And so that way I can see that edge. And then I also want to show you, so this is what it's going to look like whenever you sew it. It's not, you guys don't worry too much about it, because we're going to go through and we're going to pick some of that fur out to make it like fluffy again. You guys, I somehow just lost all of the rest of the footage for the film, so I'm having to re-record. But I just want to show you, so I just finished top stitching along the entire perimeter of the Minky onto the gauze. And then I use, this is called that purple thing. It is such a fun tool. You mainly use it to turn out corners, but you can also use it in this application. So I'm hoping that you can see this on camera. I can move you in a little bit closer. Let's see. And so, because whenever you stitch, right here kind of pokes up a little bit. And so what I do is, you could take a chopstick, you can take anything kind of pointy, and you just kind of rub it along the edges right here, and it takes out, it kind of pulls out the fluff from behind these stitches and gives it a softer, kind of better looking seam right here where you top stitch it together. So that's just kind of the last step in this quilt. You just kind of go around the whole perimeter and just kind of try to fluff it out. And just like that, you guys, the quilt is done. Look how beautiful this quilt turned out. It is huge. Like, can you see how big this is? Like, it can easily be used as like a little lap blanket for an adult, or it can be a massive quilt for a baby or toddler. I promise you'll want to take this with you around the entire house with you. You'll never want it out of your sight. And just, oh, can you just see how cozy it is? And I promise it is even cozier than it looks. So thank you guys so much for watching this tutorial. You can grab these quilt kits on our website at quilt101.com. These come in pink and blue, and if these kits do well, we plan on bringing them back in bigger size for Christmas.